don't bond because a woman does everything right. They bond because being with her makes them feel present, grounded, and fully themselves. That feeling is rare. And humans are wired to return to what makes them feel whole. And this is where many of us women misunderstand male attachment. Men don't attach because of what a woman does to him in bed or outside of bed. They attach because of how a woman makes them feel about themselves. If being with you brings him into presence, steadiness, confidence, and emotional safety, his nervous system just registers you as a place of regulation. And humans just bond to what regulates them. That's not romance. That's biology. And that's psychology working together. So when a woman holds this kind of space, she doesn't chase, she doesn't impress or demand attachment. It happens naturally. The man begins to associate clarity with her. He begins to associate calm with this woman, desire with this woman, and ultimately he will start realizing slowly or maybe suddenly that something about you lingers. That is imprint. That is the after effect. That is why men don't just remember certain women, they return to them internally. So what we're talking about today is something that's in that book, my ebook that I just launched, The Women Men Lose Control Over. So I urge you to get that book, guys. Get that book. Now, there are things that men notice in bed that they never would say out loud. Not because they don't feel it, but because they don't always have the language for them. All right? The truth is, men are not disconnected during sex, as most of us would like to think. In fact, intimacy is one of the moments when a man is most emotionally exposed, most perceptive, and most affected. His body may be responding, but underneath that, his nervous system is registering safety, presence, desires, and connection in real time, depending on how you release yourself. Now, a lot of us women are taught to focus on our performance, our techniques, our appearances, but that is not what determines whether the sex becomes a moment a man remembers for a very, very long time, or one that changes how he feels about you. Now, what really happens beneath the surface? It's about energy. It's about awareness. It's about how he feels in himself while he is with you. It's so important. What atmosphere, what vibes do you create when you're with this man? That would tell you the level of openness that he brings. Now, this conversation is not about how to please a man. It's about understanding the male psychology during intimacy, what men respond to instinctively, what creates bonding without force, without you forcing anything. And why some experiences stay in a man's body and mind long after the moment ends. So these are the 10 things that men notice in bed that shapes attachment, bond, desires, and emotional imprinting, even when nothing is ever spoken about. Let's just get right into it. Number 1, your presence. And how men instinctively read it during sex. See, the first thing a man notices in bed is whether you are mentally, emotionally present, not just physically available. You could be physically available, but you're not mentally and emotionally present with him, and he can tell. And this matters more to men than they consciously realize, because sex is one of the few spaces where a man's ego, his performance, and sense of self are all exposed at once. And I tell you for a fact that even confident men become highly perceptive in this very moment, because their nervous system is scanning for feedback consistently. So a man can feel almost immediately whether you as a woman, you're with him or you're merely allowing him access to your body. Presence is key. And to a man, presence is not about effort or your enthusiasm. It's about responsiveness. How are you responding to his touch, to him being with you? And men can read it. Men expect, without ever saying it out loud, that intimacy would feel like a mutual experience, that you want it as much as he wants it, not a one-sided act where he's doing and you're just receiving passively or enduring politely. Because when a woman is present, her body responds in real time. Her breathing changes naturally. Her movements are not calculated. Her attention is not split between how she looks, what she has to do next, or how quickly things should end. See, men are very intuitive. They are highly sensitive to distraction during sex. If your mind is elsewhere, If your mind is worrying about your stomach, your flaws, your food part, replaying thoughts, if you're emotionally guarded or you're just simply detached, which is awful, his body will still respond, but something in him will register a subtle disconnect. He may not even have the words to name it. He may not even fully understand it, but his system will feel it. This is why men sometimes finish and feel oddly unsatisfied, even when the sex was technically good. Because the body climaxed, but the experience did not fully register as connection. And that's what bonds a man to you as a woman. So men just expect presence because presence communicates desires, not desperation. Because when you're mentally present, it tells him, I want to be here with you. I am choosing this moment with you because you matter. That choice matters deeply to men than the actual sex. Except the man doesn't like you. Except the man just wants to hit and run one time. And he goes. But if the man wants to build something with you, your presence matters. It deeply matters to him how you respond, how you're in tune with him, present at that moment with him, engaging, even if it's silently, but your body tells a whole lot of story about how much you deeply desire him to touch you, to be inside of you, to yearn. You're yearning, he's yearning, you're craving, he's mourning, you're mourning as well. Like you're basking in the rhythm. Now, another important layer that I need you to know is that a man knows when you're performing. See, a woman who is performing is trying to control the experience. That's how he knows. She's thinking ahead. She's trying to impress. She's monitoring herself more than checking up on if the man really is feeling what she's feeling. Men pick up on this so quickly. Don't think you're smart. Except he's a Jew man. Don't think you're smart. A wise man, a man who is experienced, a man who is deep, emotionally, sexually, will pick up on you if you're performing. No matter how pro you are in performing and faking it, he will figure it fast. Because performance basically just creates distance. Because it turns intimacy into a role play instead of an exchange. And presence, on the other hand, just allows unpredictability. Everything that is just done is unpredictable. The moves, the moaning, everything is unpredictable. And men respond strongly to this because it feels real. It feels authentic. It makes them feel effective. It makes them feel like they are impacting you, not just moving through a routine. And there comes a time when they get tired of routine. They want something that feels deep and meaningful, that feels refreshing and rejuvenating. Not an act, not a performance. See, there's also a powerful dynamics here that most people don't talk about. When a woman is fully present, she subtly shifts power without effort. The man becomes more attentive, more grounded, more focused. His arousal just deepens because his nervous system feels met instead of resisted. We're a spiritual being and we can feel things even without saying. We can feel energy. And bear this in mind, that men will notice when presence is held or withheld emotionally. And this happens when a woman is guarded, when she's closed up or she's disconnected as a form of self-protection. So while it is understandable, your fears, it also creates a specific response in men. You would find that this men either push harder for connection or they emotionally just check out. They just release and check out. It becomes basic. So presence tells a man that the space is safe enough for him to stay open. And this is critical. You know why? Men expect presence because in intimacy, presence equals mutual vulnerability. When you as a woman, you're present, your man will feel exposed, being present himself. But when you're absent, he will feel alone in the experience. Even if he's physically inside you, he will feel alone. And this is why men bond to women who are present more easily than women who are technically more skilled. Skill, of course, impresses a man, but presence connects a man. So men don't just remember sex where a woman looked perfect, but wasn't emotionally there. They remember sex when they felt met. You know why? Because presence just answers a question men are unconsciously asking in bed. Are we in this together? Is it mutual? Do you feel what I feel? And so when the answer is yes, bonding becomes more easier and more possible if he wants something meaningful and deep with you. But when the answer is no, the experience just stays physical. Oh, that baby's good. She didn't knock well, but I know they feel I'm deep like that. Do you understand what I mean? Like, the girl is skillful, she's bad, she's pro. I mean, the way she gulps me, the way she swallows, the way, she's so pro. I would like to have her another time, but connection, I'm not too feeling her. She's just, let's just keep this for play. Do you understand? That's why presence is always the first thing men notice when they're having it with you, and why everything else just builds on it. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Oh, am I making sense? Let's move to the other side. So I'm telling you for a fact that the second thing that men notice during sex, often more than anything else, is whether they feel emotionally safe with you. And this isn't about judgment or criticism in the usual sense of it, right? It's about whether they can exist in their vulnerability without fear of losing respect in your eyes, or without being ashamed or being rejected by you. See, men carry ego, they carry pride, and performance pressures them into intimacy, even the most confident man. All right? So deep down, what they're doing is that they're scanning the space for signals. Can I be myself with this woman? Can I let my guard down? Will I still be accepted if I show weakness? Even before words are exchanged, they're already reading micro reactions from you, your tone, your breathing, your gaze, your disposition, the way your body responds. If a man feels judged or scrutinized, his nervous system just tightens. He might go through the motion physically, but emotionally he is disengaging. This is why men sometimes act distant after sex, despite a strong physical connection. And you know why? It is because the experience didn't feel safe enough for him to fully stay present. As women, we need to understand that emotional safety is expressed through non-verbal cues. Your patience, your willingness to stay attuned, your responsiveness to his subtle shifts in his energy. All of this just communicates that the space is secure for him to engage. Men notice when you create a non-pressured environment, one where he doesn't have to perform perfectly to earn affection or approval. And trust me, when men feel safe, their bodies just relax. Their arousal deepens and their emotional circuit just opens naturally. They become attuned to you instead of preoccupied with defending themselves. And on the flip side of things, if they sense criticism or impatience or evaluation from your end, they instinctively just protect themselves. Emotionally withdrawing, even if they remain physically engaged, they're already withdrawn emotionally from you. This is why sex with emotional safety doesn't just feel good. It becomes memorable and bonding for a man. And you know what? A man doesn't just consciously articulate this, but he knows it deep down. He can let go. He can be raw. He can exist fully. And that creates, a lasting connection with you. And also know that emotional safety is tied to power and surrender. Because men respond strongly to a woman who holds a stable energy in bed. A woman who isn't reactive, who isn't controlling or constantly just monitoring him or judging him. And this steadiness just tells him that he can give up control without consequences. It basically just signals that his vulnerability will not be weaponized, he will not be mocked, he will not be dismissed. And when men sense this, their nervous system rewards the experience. Dopamine just rises, oxytocin just flows, and attachment just strengthens the bond. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet it is fundamental in every man. And without this, no amount of technique, no amount of attraction or physical beauty can create that depth of connection that men instinctively crave from women. So essentially, emotional safety is the invisible container in which all male desire and, openness flourish. Men just notice it first. They crave it. And the absence of that emotional safety is felt even if it is never named. Now, the third thing men notice in bed is whether a woman's reactions are authentic. See, men are wired to read subtle signs, and they do it during intimacy. Every movement, every sound, and every micro expression just communicates more than words could ever do for a man. They notice when your reaction is real, when it's spontaneous, when it's in a moment, when it's uncalculated, versus when it feels force performed or designed to please. I hope you know men are not stupid. See, men don't unconsciously think about it, but their nervous system reacts immediately. They're very intuitive. So authentic reactions just create a feedback loop. The man just feels his touch, his energy, his presence is impacting you in a real way, and that reinforces his connection with you. But have it at the back of your mind that performed reactions only just creates dissonance between both of you. His body will definitely react, or he will still be erect with you. It will respond to every touch, but emotionally, he will sense the gap. He will even finish up. He will ejaculate. He will do everything. He will release very well. He would enjoy the physical sensation that your body gives to him. But the deeper imprint, that part that binds him psychologically to you, will never register fully. So men notice this small authenticity more than the exaggerated expression that you give. It is not about volume. It is not about intensity or dramatics. It is about alignment between what you feel and how you show it. How authentic are you when he touches you in places that normally you're not supposed to respond to, but you then respond. And he knows deep down that you're faking it. He barely touched your skin and you're already moaning. You're already screaming. Ah! Come on now. If you're not feeling it, do not act like you're feeling it. Because at the end of the day, he will come back to doing the same thing. If he wants to have another sexual encounter with you, he will come back doing the same thing, thinking that you enjoy it. But you're not profiting at the end of the day. You're just wasting your time pleasing him in ways that doesn't even please you. Who's losing at the end of the day? You are the one losing, because you're not gaining anything, no pleasure. He, on the other hand, would release whether he feels connected deeply with you or not. So it's not about dramatics. It's about alignment between what you feel and how you show it. Small sounds, natural gasps, the shifts in your breathing, the way you change in posture. Even that microfacial expression just communicates pleasure. The way you bite your lips authentically, the interest and the engagement just tells a whole different story about how authentic you are with him or how fake you are with him. So when your reactions are authentic, it tells your man that you are present, you're invested, and you're experiencing the moment fully. And this presence just validates his own experience and encourages him to stay open, to explore, and to surrender further and deeply with you. But when the reaction is performed, it just communicates something different, that he must impress, he must perform, or he must guess how to create pleasure with you, which can also create emotional and, some level of distance with you. Now, get it straight that why men notice authenticity is because it signals trust. And by showing real reaction, you're demonstrating that you're willing to be vulnerable in return. You're willing to let him see your truth without pretense. That vulnerability is very magnetic to men because it communicates without words that the space is mutual, that both of your bodies and emotions are aligned, and that the pleasure is not transactional. So your authenticity in your reaction is, in essence, a bridge between both of you, because it connects his desire to his attachments, his nervous system to his heart. And while men rarely speak of this, it is one of the strongest things that they remember long after the physical act is over. Okay? So be authentic. It is so important. Number 4, confidence. That's the 4th thing that men notice in bed. How confident you as a woman you are in your own body. Confidence here is not about perfection. It's not about curve. It's not about your size or your appearance. Men are really focused on measuring physical flaws during intimacy. What they're attuned to is your energy, how you as a woman inhabit your own body, how comfortable you are in moving, breathing, and responding without self-consciousness or hesitation in your own skin, in your own fur. So confidence just communicates that you are present, that you own the moment, and that you're fully choosing to participate with this man. So men notice instantly when you as a woman, you're second guessing yourself, you're checking how you look, or you're trying to manipulate the experience to meet perceived expectations. And that hesitation subtly just creates a tension in him, even if he doesn't really say it out loud. Because men respond positively to a woman who moves with her own rhythm, who breathes into the sensation without apologizing for them. Life is about confidence. Confidence takes you from here to there. Understand that confidence signals safety, freedom, and authenticity when you're making love. He tells him he does not need to compensate. He does not need to guess, or he does not need to manage the encounter with you. So a confident woman is magnetic because she naturally just allows space for the man's pleasure and for her own without creating imbalance. But on the flip side of the coin, self-doubt, distraction, or even body shaming of your own self, even tiny micro expressions, just registers immediately that you're not confident. And men pick up on tensions like a radar. It can make them anxious, cautious, or even emotionally distant, even while physically engaged with you. It might even make them feel like you don't even know what you're doing, even when you're doing so great. Another layer men notice is comfort with vulnerability within confidence. Now, I would explain this to you. See, a woman who is confident but also attuned to subtle shifts like adjusting, responding, exploring, and she's also communicating her mastery without control. She's confident in her body, but not controlling of him. That balance signals trust. And men are drawn to this because it tells them that they can relax and fully inhabit in that moment without fear of, judgment or criticism. Understand that confidence in the body is less about how you look and more about how you move, how you respond, and how fully you allow yourself to exist in that space. It's a signal that men pick up unconsciously, but it shapes whether they feel connected, empowered, and attached during and after sex. So it's very imperative whether you don't have confidence, fake the confidence until it becomes part of you. Now, the fifth thing that men notice in bed is whether a woman allows herself to receive pleasure fully. And this isn't about, the mechanics. And this isn't about the mechanics of sex or vocal expression that we give. It's about energy. It's about surrender. It's about presence. Men crave this more than they would ever verbalize because it speaks directly to their deepest need to feel effective, to feel desired and emotionally impactful. So when a woman receives pleasure authentically, it tells the man that he has made a difference, that he is attuned to her body and her energy, and that the connection between them is real. And they notice it immediately when a woman is hesitant to receive, what he's giving. When a woman is distracted or controlling the experience, it communicates that she's not fully present, that something is guarded, and that her pleasure is negotiable and conditional. And it can be frustrating for some men. All right? Except men who like to struggle with women who like to, hold control in the bedroom. Because you know what? Men's attraction and emotional bonding are basically amplified when a woman allows herself to receive. I am more of a giver than a receiver. All right? And most men want to give because it makes them feel like a man. So ladies, I need us to understand that pleasure is not just physical. It is an emotional feedback loop. When we as women will fully receive, our body's micro responses just basically shifts in our breathing, our tension, our relaxation, our subtle movements. It tells him that he is impacting in us, that he's seen in his effort, and that the energy between us and our men is mutual. And this feeds a sense of competence. It feeds a sense of intimacy and connection that men truly crave for deeply but rarely talk about. So when you're not relaxed enough to receive from your man, what it does is that it tells him subconsciously, or it makes him subconsciously interpret the withholding of pleasure as subtle rejection or an emotional barrier that you're creating between both of you. It tells him that you're building a wall. There is a wall between both of you. Even if you as a woman, you're technically satisfied or you're showing signs of pleasure, if you're not truly receiving, letting go, surrendering, being present in your sensation, he will feel it and his body would respond, but his emotional system would register the gap. It will create distance. But when you relax in your own pleasure, he doesn't just feel it physically. He feels it physically, energetically, and emotionally. It just triggers the oxytocin. It releases deep bonding and attachment hormones. And men notice this on a level that they cannot explain. It communicates, I am accepted here. I am effective. I am impactful. And this connection is real between me and this woman. Now, another layer here is the authenticity. It's not, we talked about authenticity. This is the layer in this fifth thing that men crave for. Men crave real, unguarded receptivity because it signals trust and freedom. So when a woman can fully receive without controlling, without manipulating or holding back, it tells him the space is safe. It communicates that he does not need to perform perfectly. He doesn't need to impress unnaturally or manage the encounter. And that unspoken safety is rare. It is why men often remember women who could fully receive long after the physical act ends, and why they unconsciously seek it again and again and again. In essence, what I'm trying to say is that how a woman receives pleasure is the invisible invitation for attachment. It's the invisible invitation for trust, emotional intimacy. And men pick up on it instinctively, even when they never articulate it. Now, the sixth thing that men notice in bed during sex, often more than, during the sex itself, is how a woman behaves immediately after intimacy, after the sex. You know why? Because men are wired to register these movements subconsciously. Why? Because the minutes following sex are when emotional imprinting actually occurs. And it's not about conversation or words. It's about presence. It's about warmth. It's about attention. It's about your energy afterwards. Listen, they would notice when you as a woman, you remain attuned, you remain calm and connected right after sex. Or if you immediately just withdraw and you're checking up your phone, or you just automatically become distant afterwards. And this subtle cues just communicates whether the connection that this men experience was transactional or physical or just genuinely mutual. They know this thing. And they want that their vulnerability during sex is met with acknowledgement, with care and with respect, not with silence or emotional disinterest. All right? Because their ego is very fragile. So men unconsciously just read post-intimacy behavior as a measure of value and attachment. So when a woman stays present or offers closeness, tries to cuddle without smothering, if you try to meet his gaze or you allow that quiet connection, it signals to him that the experience mattered and that they themselves are seen and they are appreciated. And it communicates safety and reinforces desire on a deeper neurological level. But if the woman detaches or she becomes cold or you immediately just resume your normal routine, that can just trigger anxiety in that man's mind for a while, for a freaking while. He might not say it, but he will just be calculating. Did she come? Did I do anything wrong? Even if this man is running out of breath and he's physically satisfied by your performance and everything, his nervous system will just feel a dissonance, a disconnect between the intimacy that you both shared and the emotional message sent afterwards. And let me tell you, this will definitely reduce the bonding. It will create a distance or even make him question the significance of the connection between both of you. See, they notice it instinctively, even if they never say it. They always remember women who, after intimacy, make them feel good about themselves. They make them feel accepted and emotionally secure. See, have hot sex with your husband and do not hug him or just carry your phone afterwards and don't say a word. You will see how unsettled he will become. You will see how insecure he will become. Because number one, he will think to himself, did I do anything wrong? Did she come? Did I perform well? It means a lot to him that after the sex, you're cuddling, you're having conversation with him, you're making him feel appreciated. You're telling him what he did that you liked. And this is why men often return mentally to these moments. They try replaying how you as a woman made him feel, not just during the sex, but immediately after the sex. And the truth is that the behavior that follows sex can either solidify a man's attachment or leave him feeling unsettled. It is one of the most powerful unspoken signals that men pay attention to because it tells them without words that he is seen, he is accepted, and he is wanted by you. Now, the seventh thing men notice in bed is how a woman touches him. And this isn't about, technique or the amount of contact. It's about the intention, the awareness, and the energy that you bring. See, men are consciously scanning for reciprocity and attunement, even without realizing it. So when a woman touches him with genuine interest, curiosity, and with deep engagement, it just shows that she is present, she's invested, and she's aware of his body and his responses. I tell you for a fact that men notice whether their pleasure matters to you and whether your touch is mutual, not just reactive. Those subtle variations, a lingering hand, a responsive caress, a gentle adjustment, all of those things just communicate connection and emotional investment far more than words could ever. And men also notice how you as a woman touch him because it communicates desire and it communicates validation. They also want to be validated. They also want to be validated by you. And a touch that is, absent, right? Just signals detachment. It signals disinterest or basically obligation. And no man wants to sleep with a woman who is just sleeping with him out of obligation. Even if he doesn't say anything, his nervous system will sense it. And it will impact his arousal and emotional openness. But when your touch is intentional, when it is attuned and reciprocated, it just amplifies his experience. It deepens his attachment and it reinforces the sense that the intimacy is mutual, it's not one-sided. Because men are wired to feel effectiveness and relevance through this feedback. So when you as a woman, you touch him consciously, with awareness of how he reacts, he feels acknowledged, he feels desired. And another critical layer is energy alignment. See, men are highly sensitive to tension or disconnection during touch. So if your touch communicates pressure, evaluation, or obligation, it just triggers stress, which invariably diminishes his pleasure and bonding with you. But when your touch is flowing with responsiveness and is aligning with both of your energies, it just creates a feedback loop of intimacy and trust that is mutual. And men absorb this non-verbal communication unconsciously because it tells them that they are safe, that they are wanted, and that the connection is mutual. Essentially, how a woman touches a man is a silent, constant conversation that men read instinctively. It's one of the most powerful ways to create attachment, bonding attachment, without even saying a single word, because it communicates desire. It communicates your presence as a woman in his life, and also it gives him validation all at once. And men love being validated by their women. Okay? Now, the eighth thing that men notice in bed during sex is not just your eye contact, baby. It is a total intensity of your awareness of him. Men subconsciously read your gaze. They read your energy and your full presence in ways that bypass logic entirely. So when a woman locks eyes with a man intentionally, fully, and without distraction, it does more than communicate presence. So it triggers his nervous system. It floods his brain with arousal. And it invariably just tells him he's seen, he's desired in a very impactful way. They can feel it in their core. That magnetic pull that makes him lean in, not just physically, but emotionally. Like his whole being is being tuned into you. Even a single unbroken gaze can make a man's body respond as if electricity just ran through his spine, because his brain is registering that he matters, that he's being witnessed, and that the connection is real. So awareness is a big deal when it comes to sex. Eye contact. Not just eye contact, but awareness. And awareness goes far beyond eyes. Because it makes men notice every micro signal, the subtle changes in your breath, the way your chest rises when you're breathing, the micro shifts in your weight, the unconscious rhythm of your hands, the tiny tension or, the release in your muscles, and whether your responses mirror or amplifies his own. This level of awareness just triggers deep reward circuits in his brain. Dopamine just spikes, oxytocin just flows, and his parasympathetic system releases into surrender. See, when you are fully there, fully present, he can literally feel his own power reflected back to him, his desire validated at a level that bypasses thought. But if you're a woman who is distracted, you're hesitant, or you're half present while he's doing it, his nervous system will interpret it as rejection or disinterest. And that can definitely shut down his arousal and, emotional openness, even while his body continues the act. He can still be hitting it, but he's shut down emotionally because you're not there. Listen, the sooner we realize that men are wired to crave the unspoken connection because it communicates desire and trust simultaneously, the better for us, the wiser for us, the more bonded we are with our men. See, when your awareness tracks your man perfectly, invariably anticipating shifts, responding intuitively, holding space for both of your energy. It just hijacks his attention completely to you. He doesn't just notice you, he feels himself through your gaze, as if you are mapping every intention, every pause, every reaction in real fucking time. That magnetic mirrored attention just creates an almost addictive resonance in him. And with that, he doesn't need words to express himself or to understand the situation. He doesn't need affirmation. He knows he's experiencing it himself, being wanted, being impactful. And that leaves a permanent imprint on his mind, his body, and his desire long after the act is ended. So eye contact and attuned awareness are in essence a silent form of power, because men respond to it instinctively. Why? Because it confirms everything the nervous system craves for. The validation, the safety, the desire, the connection. That's where they can get it without you even saying a word, because your eyes tells the whole story that your lips doesn't need to talk about. So any woman who can master this doesn't just exist in the room with him. She owns the energy of the encounter. And men remember it, they feel it, they seek it all the time without ever being able to explain why. Are you getting me now? Now, the ninth thing men notice in bed is not how many partners you've had, what you know, or how technically skilled you are. Don't care about that. Men respond first and foremost to the energy, the presence, the intensity, and the authenticity that you bring into the moment. Experience may give confidence to you, but it is energy that creates attachment, that creates desire and emotional imprinting. So a woman who is fully alive, fully present, and fully attuned to herself and him ignites a response that no skill sets can replicate. Because men can feel when a woman is performing, like I said before now. Men can feel when a woman is overthinking or comparing herself to her past experiences. And you know what that does for you? It creates a subtle tension that just dampens desires and signals, guardedness. But the energy that is grounded, confident, and responsive speaks differently and directly to a man's nervous system. It tells them that I am here. I am choosing this with you, and I am completely present with you, not with anybody, not with my past. And trust me, that unspoken declaration has a gravitational pull that skill alone cannot match. Men crave a woman who moves, who breathes, and responds from her energy rather from her technique. This is why some men can be blown away by a woman who is less experienced physically, but she's fully embodied in the moment. Because her energy just communicates surrender without submission. It communicates desire without obligation and presence without performance. Men notice the difference immediately. And when a woman is alive in the energy of this encounter, his attention is locked in, his arousal is heightened, and his emotional system just opens up to this woman. His body recognizes authenticity. His brain registers impact. I tell you, and it's very intoxicating for men, even if they never consciously articulate it. Why? Because on the flip side of that experience with our energy, a woman going through motions, overthinking, or focused on impressing the man creates friction. Men pick up on that instinctively. Their nervous system just interprets it as misalignment, a disconnection between bodies and energies. And he may still respond physically, but the deeper emotional imprints, the bond, the sense of being fully chosen and effective does not form. So energy over experience is why men can become obsessed with certain women and why others, even if technically skilled, fade from memory. So as we're wrapping things up, I need you to understand that men crave energy because it communicates freedom. It communicates what? Authenticity, emotional presence, all of them at once. It tells them that they can let go. They can explore and be themselves, knowing that they're being met on a deeper level. That energy just triggers desire, it triggers bonding, and a sense of being impactful. So much so that even your words or performance or even technique alone cannot produce. In short, men notice your energy and they respond to it instinctively. And it is what makes, them feel alive. It makes them feel connected and unconsciously magnetized to you. Now, number 10, how you leave him feeling about himself. That's the deepest imprint. That's the 10th thing that men crave for in bed. How they feel about themselves when the moment is over. This is where everything that you've done before either crystallizes into attachment or quickly dissolves into memory. See, men don't consciously frame it this way, but their nervous system just asks a question. Who was I when I was with her? And whatever answer his body gives becomes the imprint he carries forward. So if a man leaves the intimacy with you feeling grounded, feeling desired, confident, and expanded, and also emotionally seen and desired, his system just associates those feelings with you, not with the sex, with you. That's where attachment forms. And believe me when I tell you that men crave this more than they crave pleasure itself, because it touches identity, not sensation. So a woman who leaves a man feeling powerful without ego, calm without emptiness, and open without shame taps into something primal. She becomes a mirror in which he experiences the best version of himself, even briefly. And men don't forget mirrors like that. Men don't forget mirrors like that. In fact, they notice whether they feel accepted or they feel diminished afterwards. Did he feel respected in his vulnerability? Did he feel appreciated without being praised? Did he feel chosen and not being used? These impressions just settle quietly in his body. So if a man feels dismissed, rushed, or emotionally abandoned or reduced to performance after intimacy, I'm already envisioning it in my head, his system will pull away. Sometimes instantly, sometimes gradually. And even if the sex was intense, the imprint becomes unstable. But when he feels emotionally held, without being trapped, he feels affirmed without being managed, something locks in. He may not understand it immediately, and he may not even speak it immediately, but the bond is forming beneath the surface. And this is where many of us women misunderstand male attachment. Men don't attach because of what a woman does to him in bed or outside of bed. They attach because of how a woman makes them feel about themselves. If being with you brings him into presence, steadiness, confidence, and emotional safety, his nervous system just registers you as a place of regulation. And humans just bond to what regulates them. That's not romance. That's biology. And that's psychology working together. So when a woman holds this kind of space, she doesn't chase, she doesn't impress or demand attachment. It happens naturally. The man begins to associate clarity with her. He begins to associate calm with this woman, desire with this woman. He may just start to feel drawn back to this woman without even knowing why. He may just feel unsettled in your absence. And ultimately, he will start realizing slowly or maybe suddenly that something about you lingers. That is imprint. That is the after effect. That is why men don't just remember certain women. They return to them internally. So this final point is what ties everything together: presence, safety, authenticity, confidence, receptivity, attunement, energy. All of it funnels into this single outcome: how he feels about himself when it's over. So a woman who understands this doesn't need to hold a man. That's why, because he holds the experience, and through that, he holds her. So if you understand these things, intimacy just stops being something you try to control or perfect. It becomes something you inhabit. Okay? Men don't bond because a woman does everything right. They bond because being with her makes them feel present, grounded, and fully themselves. That feeling is rare. And humans are wired to return to what makes them feel whole. So the women men remember are not always the most beautiful or the most experienced. They're the ones who create a space where he could feel seen without being judged, powerful without ego, and open without fear. And that's not manipulation. That is awareness. That is emotional intelligence amplified to intimacy. So when you shift from performing to being present, from impressing to attuning, something just changes. The dynamics just changes. The imprint changes and the connection becomes deeper without you needing to force it. And this is not about sex. It's about how energy, psychology intersect in the most vulnerable moments. And once you understand that, the intimacy becomes less about what you do and more about what you leave behind. So if this resonated with you, sit with it. Let it integrate. And I will see you in my next conversation. And don't you forget that all of these things that I have said and much more are in my ebook. You could go on Amazon. The link is in my description box. And you can also go on seller.com. Until I come your way, do know that I love you and God loves you best. Mwah.